Hello, this is Rhonda Grace, and I'm so glad you can make it here. Make sure you press the bell button and subscribe, and grab you a cup of your favorite drink. And I have chai latte, and now. Here's my drink. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, I'll jump right into it. The topic that I want to talk to you about is the nostalgia of pre-2020. There's some things that you remember back then, the way it used to be. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Part of the exercise today is that we all need to treat each other with empathy and understanding because 2020 has been one hell of a year so far, and it's not over yet. So here we go. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about when I was a child growing up, when we lived in the big woods of northern Idaho in a cabin in the woods. Now, in that cabin, we had no electricity. Do you know what we used for light? It's kerosene lamps and flashlights. That's what we used. We also had no running water. We had a well, but it was surface well, so we could use it like watering the chickens and the dogs and the cats we might have had at the time, but not for drinking water. Now, how did we get drinking water? We had to go into town and get gallon jugs of water and bring it home, and that was our drinking water. And we had to take trips into town when we get low on drinking water so that we could have drinking water and cooking water. And that's how we got our water. And comes the next thing. We had one of those lovely outhouses. The kind that in northern Idaho, when we had snow on the ground in the wintertime, oh my, we had to put on our little boots and trudge out in the snow all the way and use a flashlight at night when you had to get up to the bathroom. No, it wasn't a flushable toilet. We had to march right out there in the cold, nasty, dark when we had to use the bathroom in the wintertime after dark. So we had to, that was my worst memory of living during those times because that was freaking cold. And I hated to go out there because it was so freaking cold. It was nighttime, it was dark, and you had to take a flashlight. Oh my goodness, I did not like that bit at all. But all the rest of it, I totally loved it. The other part of the story is that my sister and I would put like a bandana around our eyes, cover our eyes, so that we would lead each other around and turn ourselves in circles and then see if the other one could find their way back home. Now, we lived out in the woods. We were on a 20-acre plot of land next to BLM land. And we would wander around a little bit and then say, okay, we knew right where home was. And so we would do that just for games. And the other thing we also did was climb these young pine trees and get clear to the top of these young pine trees and then sway it back and forth until it would creak. And then I'd be at the top of the tree, my sister would be down below, and my younger brother would be down below. And then my sister, it might break, the tree might break. Don't sway it too. We might as well like slow down. And I said, no, this is fun. This is fun. But I slowed down eventually before it broke. It never broke on us. But that's one of the things we did for fun out in the woods. And those were good memories. Those were good times. So after we got done playing in the trees, we'd come back to the cabin with, quote, tree pitch in our hairs, all over our clothes. And my mom used to rinse her hair out with butter and use different things to get it out of our clothes. But we were a mess. And I'm glad that, we were kids and my mom had to deal with this. But I remember using butter to get it off our hands and out of our hair if we got some in our hair. So, also, another thing that we did was a memory I had when my dad would come home after working, and on the weekends, he would be building a wood floor because when we first moved into this cabin, it just was a carpet laid over the dirt. So we did not have a regular floor in the cabin. So he would do section at a time to put a wood floor in our cabin. And this was like an old fashioned cabin where you laid the logs on top of each other, you know, like the old fashioned cabin with the logs laying horizontal and, you know, and then you have to fill the cracks in and stuff. I mean, this was primitive. And I remember growing up and my mom would have this kerosene lamp and uh we would heat water up on a wood stove, and that's how we took our baths. We would put a tub and fill it with warm water and have it hot enough, but then we would stand in this tub and then wash ourselves off with a wash rag. And that's how we bathed ourselves so that we could keep clean. Okay, that's all I have for you. And be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Just hit all the bells. And I'll talk to you on the next video.